I have a confession to make. Making videos is not one of my passions. And admitting this is actually quite scary because this has colossal implications for me right now. I'm dedicating the next however long of my life to making videos. In the video I released last week, I talk about what I'm doing here on YouTube. And in that video, I also mention how much I value intentional living. Living a life going through the motions scares the out of me. I have made a vow to myself that I will live a life with intention. Now, the problem is I have always equated intention with passion. In other words, the only way to live a life with intention is to do what you're passionate about, and to do anything less is a waste of time. But here I am, doing not my passion, under the promise of living with intention. Do you see my dilemma here? Now, it's actually only recently that I came to this conclusion. When I decided to do YouTube full time, I convinced myself in what I consider to be, in retrospect, a very common human response to whenever we want something really badly. Allow me to say, humans are masters at rationalizing what is irrational. I had never really cared for YouTube or videos, not until the beginning of the pandemic, where by nature of being inside more and having more screen time, I eventually found myself on YouTube watching videos that I was naturally drawn to. Well, I came across a few channels that I became completely obsessed with. They were visual storytellers, masters of their craft. I couldn't stop watching. And that obsession stayed with me for the next couple of years until I thought, okay, I want to do this. I want to give this a try. I know I like watching visual stories. What if I try to tell visual stories? Now, that seems like a completely, perfectly normal response, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, in my mind, I convinced myself that I was passionate about this. And where it becomes irrational is I had only ever consumed visual stories. I had never been on the producing end. I had never picked up a DSLR camera. I had never opened a movie editing software. So how could this be a passion of mine? In all honesty, I don't think it could have, because had it been, I would have engaged with this way earlier in my life. So now the question became, have I completely misled myself? And does it make sense for me to keep going down this path? Well, as I was thinking about all of this, I actually gained a helpful new perspective from a video I stumbled across by Ali Abdaal titled "Why Following Your Passion is Terrible Advice." And in this video, Ali comments on what this one particular book has to say about, well, following your passion. Essentially, the perspective is you don't necessarily need to follow your passion to find meaningful work. Now, coming back to my story and my pursuit of visual storytelling, it almost sounds like I almost lied to myself or just tricked myself into doing this, right? Because it wasn't my passion. Well, what I have come to realize with this new perspective is no, that's actually not true, because clearly there was something pulling me to do this. It's just that at the time I didn't have the right mental framework to understand that passion and doing meaningful work don't have to be the same thing. To make this clear, allow me to share how I define passion. For me, passion is the thing you would drop everything for in a split second because it brings you pure enjoyment. And for me, that thing is learning and teaching languages. Now, just because I love everything and anything language related doesn't mean it's meaningful to me or is the right puzzle piece at this time in my life. And I know that because I actually tried to pursue this. I started a YouTube channel focused on languages, and I very quickly let go of that because the pull to do what I'm doing now was just so much stronger. So back when I made the decision to take YouTube seriously, it wasn't because I lied to myself, no. It was because those YouTubers whose worlds I had become so consumed by were exploring ideas and questions that I too was exploring in my own mind. And it only felt right to make that the center of my life and to engage with these thoughts more seriously. Now, a really important point I want to make here is that just because this isn't a passion of mine doesn't mean that it changes how I approach it. If anything, I've just been given a more realistic perspective to understand that I can both accept that this isn't my passion and simultaneously acknowledge that this is what I'm meant to be doing, and that those two ideas can coexist and are not in opposition. Now, one thing I don't have the answer to, but I believe to be true, is if passion can be developed over time. Ali actually also talks about this in the video, sharing a perspective from that same book. And the perspective is, yes, passion can be developed over time, because the more time you spend doing something, the better you get. And by way of getting better, you start to like it. So essentially, passion can be a result of long-term dedication and you just getting better at something over time. What makes this YouTubing project hard for me is the technical aspect. That by far is my biggest barrier. I have no background in photography or cameras or videography. For example, I'm still shooting all of these videos on an iPhone simply because I don't feel ready to take on a DSLR camera. And I honestly dread having to shoot B-roll because it requires understanding elements of framing and composition. Again, things that I don't have experience with, but I want it to be part of my style because that was part of the style that made me fall in love with visual storytelling in the first place. My point though is that it's okay that I don't like the technical aspect of what I'm doing yet, because me disliking it is simply a result of me not being good at it. And I have faith that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I will get good at it just by nature of having done it for a long time, and therefore will start to like it. The important thing is, right now, I have a part of this project that is meaningful to me, my curiosity to keep me going. You may or may not agree with the perspective I've shared in this video, and who knows, maybe one day I'll watch this again and say I was wrong. Those who know me might say I have a strongly naive inclination to trust my gut. The thing is, I can't be at peace until I do so, and the biggest favor I can do for myself is to try.